Hey, today I can finally show you guys how to install a front sway bar for your car. Installing the front sway bar is usually really basic. Most of the steps are really they're common on most cars, so this should help out a lot. In America, the Civic hatchbacks, none of the Civic hatchbacks come with front sway bars. None. The only cars that came with front sway bars was the Civic LX, Civic EX, Civic SI, and that's for Americans. Possibly the Civic HX, which is the 96 and up, and it has the economic the model is the HX, so it could have the sway bars also. But they all have the LX and EX have the front 22 millimeter sway bar, and the SI has a 26 millimeter front sway bar. You cannot swap the sway bars from one car to the other when you go from SI to the LX or EX, because the LX EX is top mounted end links. The end links are top mounted onto the LCA, while the SI and the Type R is side mounted onto the control arm. So that's a big difference. If you want to upgrade to an SI or a Type R, you have to get a SI or a Type R lower control arm. Not just that, but you also have to upgrade your strut fork. The strut fork is wider for the SI and Type R. So it's wider, so it can fit into the LCA. So you have to go through a big mess just to get the Type R. But I chose to get the ST suspensions. It's suspension techniques, and they make a 24 millimeter. The Tego Type R in America also uses a 24 millimeter in the front. So basically, a sway bar reduces your body roll as much as possible, and the ratio of the sway bar power. If the power in the front is stronger, you're going to have understeer. If the ratio in the back is stronger, you're going to have oversteer. So you want to find the right balance for your car that suits you the best for what you're going to use it for. So I picked 24 in the front and 22 in the back. You have to keep in mind that the engine's in the front, so the front is heavier. That's why I'm having a bigger sway bar in the front. But the thing is, ST suspension techniques, they're very known for having an adapter bracket for the hatchbacks or for the CX or DX models. The CX and DX do not have sway bar mounting holes on the LCA. So you cannot attach a sway bar onto a CX or a DX. That's why they make adapter brackets so you get attached to LCA. That's option one. Option two is you can either go to a junkyard, which is what I just did. You can go to a junkyard and pull it off for an EX or an LX. And you're going to put it into your car, swap it out, because they have the mounting holes. I'll show you later. But those two options. Here is the thing that usually comes with the front sway bar. It's a standard kit. This is a 24 millimeter ST suspension techniques, and it's a front sway bar because you can tell it's really curvy over the exhaust. And then you have the this is the hardware that comes with this one's a polyurethane bushing. It has the washers, the cups washers, and the nuts. Just the stuff that you need to put the bushing together. And then this you have the mounting for your car, different for each car. And this is the D bracket that attaches the bushing. And that's the only thing that you'll need. Not every kit seems similar to this, but not all of them are the same. But these are just the basic stuff. Then it has grease too. There's two types of grease. There's grease for polyurethane bushings, and there's grease for the original rubber, the OEM rubber. So just make sure when you buy the right grease. This one just came in a kit, so I don't have to worry about that. It should be perfect for it. This is what I'm talking about. These are two front lower control arms. This is my old one. This is used on the CX and DX Civics in the United States, and also the lower ones in the other countries. You see, there's a gap right here. This is the new one I got today from the junkyard. This came from Civic EX, the sway bar right there. You see it? Nothing here, a hole here. This is the one you want. If not, you can keep this with the adapter bracket from ST Suspension Techniques. And the bracket goes here, and it makes a hole right here. That's what the bracket does. But they didn't give it to me, so I was waiting 2 weeks, but it didn't come, so I decided to go to the junkyard and do it myself. So this is what I got. The first step you do, what you always do, is jack up the car. You can either jack up the front and just put stands in the front only, or you can jack up the entire car, put stands all over. Once the car is jacked up and it's on jack stands, take out both the front wheels, because you get more room to work with, and the wheel assembly will be much lighter. So it's easier for you to maneuver the parts and adjust and install the sway bar easier. Alright, what you're going to do now is, if your instruction booklet says to grease the bushings, then you're going to grease the bushings. There are some bushings that don't need any grease on them. So just make sure you read the directions for your bushings carefully. So just grease the inside, and you just slide it around the bar. I'll show you later. You just grease the inside and use your finger to smear it all around. Alright, what you do now is you get your sway bar, and you're going to put it underneath the car. And if yours goes over the exhaust, like which most of them do, you're going to put it through the crevices and fit it over the exhaust as best as you can. See if you can squeeze it through. If you can't, you're going to have to remove the bolts for your exhaust piping right at the cap area where it would be. And you would, and then you just let it hang, and then you can have a lot more room to put the sway bar over. That's what this little the shape bar is for, the upside down U. But if that doesn't work still, and the shift linkage is in the way, you can unbolt the shift linkage. For these cars, it's best that you unbolt the shift linkage underneath the shifter boot, right underneath the car, below the shifter boot, and you can unbolt the stabilizer rod at this transmission housing. So you don't have to mess with the spring pin, which is really hard to take off. Just unbolt this shift linkage near the bottom of the shift boot and the shifter stabilizer rod at the transmission housing at the front of the car. So one will be disconnected at the back of the car, one will be disconnected in the front of the car. That will give you a lot of room to maneuver the sway bar over. You don't have to, but if you need to, you should do that. Okay, the sway bar would not fit when the exhaust piping and the shift linkage was in place. So this is what happens. This is what I was talking about. You see my shift linkage? That's the shift linkage attached to the transmission housing, but it's detached down there. But the stabilizer rod is still attached up there, but it's detached down here. Because that's the easiest way to detach it fast. And my exhaust is detached from the header, because most of my exhaust piping is welded. It's not bolted down at the flange. It's been welded, it's customized. So this is what it looks like. I have a lot of room now to put the sway bar in. Once the bar is loosely on top of all the exhaust and shift linkage, you're going to put the bushing. Mine mounts on right here. This hole and this hole. These two holes. Then it has the adapter plate, and then it's going to hook onto the D bracket and then the bushings. So I'll apply that now. Right here it is. It's pretty difficult when you do it by yourself. Make sure the sway bar is on the correct position. You see the upside down U goes right over the little bottom of the car there. And you can see it pivoting like that, and it has room, doesn't touch anything else. Okay, for these, you see that the mounting bracket, you see the black mounting bracket there? The black one? That goes first. Second is the D bracket, this whole metal thing right here. And then you put the washer and then the bolt through. So make sure it goes through all of this and into the car. All of this and into the car like that. Okay? Don't torque it down. Don't tighten it all the way. Just tighten it just enough so it can hold the sway bar. I already did it to both sides of the car. So just do it just enough so it holds the sway bar. See how it pivots nicely and everything? And then you can just move it around like this to grease it up a little bit more. Let's move it around. Alright, the next part is this. This part should be nice and simple. Here's where the end links go. Here's the end of the sway bar. And the hole is right there. The hole is right there. And you're gonna attach both of them together with the end link kit. Here's the end link kit. Make sure it's assembled correctly. Here I have the long bolt that will hold everything together. Cup washer, bushing, another bushing, cup washer, spacer tube, cup washer, bushing, cup washer, and lastly the nut. You have to make sure that it's assembled just like this. Most of them are similar to this. So take it all apart. Make sure you remember what it is. Bushing, cup washer, spacer tube, cup washer, bushing. Now you can finally go through. I'm going to jack up the LCA so it can go higher up into the sway bar. You can see I'm raising the jack. It raises the lower control arm. Now it fits. Bushing, cup washer, and finally the nut. I didn't tighten it all the way, but this is what it looks like. Down there. Underneath. The bushing, cup washer, and then the nut. And that should look just like this. Do the same to both sides. Make sure the D brackets are mounted properly and everything. And do this afterwards. Don't torque anything down yet. Make sure you tighten it just enough so it can hold, okay? And then you can lower the jack. When you lower the jack, everything should hold because you tightened it just enough. After both the end links have been installed on both sides, make sure it's not torqued all the way down. Next step we're going to do is really important. We're going to preload the suspension. You're going to put the jack, and I usually put it right under here. Make sure not to scrape the rotors, but I put it right under here, the little hub. And then this can still spin even if you're in gear. So make sure you're dead center. You line it up so it doesn't move left and right. Just jack it all the way up. Jack it all the way up until the jack stands don't touch the bottom of the car anymore. That means that the car thinks that's on the ground right now. That's what it means. It means that the car thinks that's on the ground with the wheels on. When you preload the suspension, I suggest you have 4 jacks. The 2 remain here, and you have 2 extra ones that hold this in place. Okay? Just in case the car drops, it slips and drops, it'll just drop on this and you'll still be safe. You can see how it's preloaded. The jack is holding that part of the hub. And the spring is compressed all the way. The suspension is looking normal, like it's on the ground. Now what we're going to do is we're going to torque the end links first, and then torque the D bracket bushings. Install the front sway bar. Make sure you follow the directions really carefully. A lot of sway bar kits are kind of different, so look at the directions for each kit before you look at this video, and then you can just follow along. So that's the installation, and I'm going to take it for a test drive, and I'm going to see how well it handles. You should see a big improvement. So I'm Michael Flair, and this is a tutorial for your front sway bar. Thank you for watching.